Okay, so let's try to understand this. When the Rebbetzin said, of course the library belongs to the Chassidim and not to my father, because my father himself belonged to the Chassidim. Which practically means my father doesn't have private property. It can't belong to him. Nothing belongs to him. He belongs to the Chassidim. So it can't be his private property. That was the practical answer to them.
She couldn't. Oh.
Huh?
Why couldn't you say that straight out? Why'd you have to bring that quote, like for them to figure it out?
Well, they did figure it out, and they panicked.
Right.
But
obviously they'll figure it out.
But the truth is that she was saying something much more than just the legal issue. That a Rebbe belongs to his Chassidim. Nobody ever said that before. This is like something new that came out of the situation, which we never knew before. What does it mean that a Rebbe belongs to the Chassidim? He's devoted to his Chassidim.
He
loves his Chassidim. But what does it mean he belongs to the Chassidim?
Because a Rebbe belongs to his Chassidim.
What does that mean?
It means what I said.
So, two things. The fact that the Sfarim were being stolen, that they were being taken, that they were being treated like private property of the family, means that you don't understand what Sfarim are to a Rebbe. So the first thing we learned is how precious Sfarim are, a library is, to a Rebbe. That by taking away the Sfarim and holding them hostage, so to speak, you're actually putting the Rebbe into prison. Because the Rebbe is so attached to the Sfarim that if they're in prison, the Rebbe is in prison. So selling the Sfarim is almost like selling the Rebbe. So that was one thing we learned that we didn't really appreciate or understand before. It's also like if you mistreat a sefer, are you not also mistreating the one who wrote the sefer?
No.
Because if the person who wrote the sefer put his heart and soul into it, then it's literally like mistreating the writer, the author. On the positive side, when you're reading the sefer and you're quoting it, it's like you're hearing it from the author. It's like the author is speaking to you. So in the negative side, if you abuse the sefer, it's like you're abusing the author. But that's only if the author really puts his neshama into the sefer. It's not like just a professor who writes a book. A sefer is different. So every holy sefer, somebody with a holy neshama revealed something new in godliness and elokus, and now you're abusing the sefer. It's like it's abusing holiness, godliness. And the second thing we learned was the relationship between the Rebbe and Chassidim. So one of the unusual things about that whole event is that the Rebbe spoke about it publicly. You would think this is a family problem. It should be kept private. You have to go to court, Don't talk about it by a Fabrengen. Why does every chassid have to know what's going on in the family politics? And the Rebbe spoke about it every Shabbos. With such details. I think the Rebbe said he hates me. I mean, why does this have to be made public? So what we saw from that is that talking to Chassidim is to the Rebbe not talking to the public. This is his family. Every chassid standing at the Fabrengen is the Rebbe's family, and this is a family problem. So everyone in the family needs to know what's going on. Even though we still don't know what's going on. A lot of it was still like a little mysterious. But the Rebbe treated it like we have a problem. In that sense, the Rebbe belongs to Chassidim. It's more than the Rebbe loves Chassidim. You can love strangers. You don't share family problems with strangers. You can be very devoted to Chassidim, but that doesn't mean that you're going to involve them in a family issue. But when the Rebbe involved all of us personally in such a personal issue, that showed that there is a closer relationship between Chassidim and Rebbe than we suspected. It wasn't a simple question. I mean, it was, everybody knew this was the Friedrich Rebbe's library. Doesn't that mean that it belongs to him?
Not his grandchildren.
Certainly sounds like it, no?
Yeah, but not
Well,
to
he's not allowed to go sell it.
Well, if it belongs to him, then his grandchildren inherit it when he passes away. Even if the daughter came first. So good, now it's hers and she's giving it to her grandson, to her son.
But isn't it the oldest? First?
She's the oldest. So it was not such a simple, obvious thing. And it took hours and hours and days of debating and arguing and proving and bringing documents. And then even
How
in
did
the
the other
end,
side get? What type of documents did the other side get?
There was no documents to get.
I'm sure there were, where it says the Rebbe's library.
Did it ever clearly declare that there was a document that it belongs to the grandson?
Didn't have to. All he had to prove is that it belongs to the Rebbe, so the grandson gets it automatically.
Wait, but if he was supposed to inherit it, then why was, like, who? According to the Torah, the grandson was supposed to get it, so why?
If it belonged to the Friedrich Rebbe.
Why did it belong to us?
So the real question is, if they really felt that it belongs to them, why were they stealing it at night?
Because they know that they're not gonna want.
Oh, they know that people are
have no chance.
How did they find out?
They put cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Because they themselves were becoming empty.
Mm-hmm. So they put in a camera, and they saw it at night when nobody was looking. He went in and he took a safer, and he took 2 or 3.
He didn't bother looking for cameras.
Was there cameras? Wait, of course there were, because then...
That's how they figured out.
When they realized that some sort of were missing, they put in cameras. But
But he didn't bother looking for cameras?
Yeah, but if he went in the day, then all the Chassidim would attack him.
Or say, why? What are you doing? Why are you opening
I don't
the glass
think there was Hasidim.
so
I
why,
don't think-
why didn't he
there
just
wasn't
take
glass.
them, and if anybody asks, he'll say it's mine?
Then they'll attack him.
They'll say, excuse us.
He could have just, if it was that simple, at Craig could have just said mine. It's mine. He probably said
Right.
They would have done it. Done that.
So-
He probably did do it.
I guess they did know that there was something not so right about it. That they had to smuggle it out at night. Anyway. What does that have to do with us? I guess the question that we should ask is, what does this have to do with Moshiach? Can you imagine somebody saying, after the Alter Rebbe, somebody would say, okay, that's it. That's the end of Chassidus. We have a Tanya, we have a few Maimorim from the Alter Rebbe, but it's over. What about the Mittler Rebbe? You know, he's not like the Alter Rebbe.
Because Alter Rebbe already did,
I thought
brought it in. You don't need to bring it in twice. Once it's
Can you
in, it's
imagine
in.
somebody saying that? You know, the Mittler Rebbe is not as great as the Alter Rebbe, so it's all downhill now. Imagine somebody saying, after the Tzemach Tzedek, after the Mittler Rebbe, saying, okay, so there's no son to take over, so it's finished. Well, there's a son-in-law. Yeah, but a son-in-law is not, you know. And then after the Frierdiker Rebbe, can you imagine them saying, he had no sons, it's not Europe anymore, the whole community in Russia was destroyed, it's finished. In a sense, that's what they were saying. They were saying that after the Frierdiker Rebbe, Chabad is finished.
Who's saying that? His grandson?
Why?
That's why he was stealing them?
The fact that there was a challenge to who does the library belong to was in a sense saying there are no Chassidim anymore, there's no Rebbe anymore. So who gets the Svarim?
Me.
The family.
If there were no Chassidim, they didn't need to go in the night. They didn't need to go in the night.
That question's always going to come back out.
So what was really the issue? The real issue was, did Chassidus end?
Or not?
And of course the answer is no. So when the judge ruled that the Svarim belonged to Chassidim, it meant there are Chassidim and there is a Rebbe and nothing ended. So that was a huge, huge victory. So it wasn't just a court case and we won. What does it have to do with Moshiach? Obviously, if Chassidus ended before Moshiach comes, how are we going to bring Moshiach? Moshiach comes when we spread Chassidus. If Chassidus is over,
I guess they didn't acknowledge it.
so this was like the Satan creating the last challenge or the last resistance to Moshiach.